is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bow, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show. Better River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Well, welcome in everyone to Betting Weekly Live. It's Tuesday, the 21st of January. It's the return of the Champions League. That's about the first time we've ever said that in January before. And I'm delighted to be joined by Jack Wright on today's show. We're going to be going through the whole Champions League card. Does it excite you, Jack, that Champions League is back this early?
Oh, of course it does. Of course it excites me. Yeah, I'm absolutely primed and I'm ready. Yeah, so looking forward to it. Some very interesting clashes over the next 48 hours, and yeah, let's get it on. So, how excited are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
10. Like the Champions League always. I mean, I love this new format. A lot of people don't like it, but there's more betting opportunities. You know, this is new for everyone. The teams, the players, the bettors. 21st of January. I've already been looking at angles today I can get an edge on. This is right up my street. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited. So, welcoming everyone. Put down what your best bets are today in the Champions League or anything you're betting on today. Full stop. Cree reckons I think Villa can get something. He also wants Stuttgart on side and Celtic on the handicap. That's tomorrow. Rick Haley, great to see you. Felix as well. Massive game for Villa. We're going to be getting onto that match very, very soon. Jake, don't you worry. John, good to see you as well. He likes Bologna on the money line. Dortmund are struggling. Giuseppe, good to see you. Felix, we've always got to put one from the English League as well. Wigan minus 3/4 of a goal. That is Felix's bet today in the English lower leagues.
I was wondering who Wigan were playing in the Champions League. I thought they'd stuck in through some like FIFA, UEFA loophole, but no, it's a League One game. That's fine.
They were in Europe one year, of course, weren't they? After they won the FA Cup. Yeah. Brugge versus Juventus draw, says Adam Seymour. And Rick is having a parlay of Villa and Barcelona to win. Right, before we start with the matches, our graphics guy, John, actually sent us an outright. Quick one here. If you had a free $10 bet, Jack, on the outright market to win the Champions League right now, we've got Liverpool, the favourites at plus 400. Arsenal plus 550. Real Madrid, same price. Barcelona 6-1, and on the card there you got the likes of Milan at 50-1. That's actually a really big price, I think, under their new manager. Benfica at 80-1, Dortmund 50s. Where would your money go for Champions League winner?
You're right. They've turned it around, haven't they, Milan, under, say, the new stewardship. So do you know what? I'm not going to go with one of the favourites. I think you can make a case for most of the I was going to say top 7, but probably it's countdown as far as Manchester City, top 5. Do you know what? I'll go within the middle of the pack there. A couple of sides that catch my eye. Bayer Leverkusen, because they've just been incredible over the last 2 seasons, and they obviously went very, very close to winning the European trophy last season. I think they can go well again. Well, obviously, they're well in the hunt already this season, at plus 2,200. And I think Atletico Madrid, incredible run ended at the weekend by Leganés. But we know what they've got in the locker. They can grind out results, and they've also got goals in them this season. So I think, again, at that price, then they've got a little bit of work to do, of course, at this moment in time. But they're in decent nick at the minute if you take the weekend out of the equation. So a big game for them coming up tonight.
Yeah, I would actually agree. I think both of those sides have got a live chance. Milan do look big for me at 50-1. I'm on them to finish in the top 8. It was a newsletter pick I gave a few weeks ago, plus 150. I still think there's a really good chance of that happening. If you can bypass the playoff round, that's already great stuff, isn't it? Just looking in, welcoming Harry, Paul as well. Barcelona, draw no bet. Both teams to score over 2.5 in Monaco, Villa. And a hot dog on Bologna for Giuseppe. He's getting involved. He's getting stuck in. A lot of people are going to be getting stuck in because it's Champions League is back. It really brings out the bettors. And as usual, there's 2 early games. I do quite like how they've split it this year. Again, with these 2 early kickoffs. We've got Atalanta against Sturm, Graz, and Monaco against Aston Villa. Obviously, the Monaco game is the more tastier of the 2 fixtures, so we'll save that one. We'll start with Atalanta against Graz here. Atalanta won famously 12 straight games in Serie A, but it's gone down the Swanee a bit, as some would say, over here. Winless in 5 games now, but they've faced some tough teams recently, Jack. They've faced the likes of Inter, Juventus, Napoli, Lazio. Sturm Graz, no disrespect to them, but this is probably Atalanta's easiest fixture in that run, and that is the reason why they're a -2 goal Asian handicap favourite here. -530 on the money line. Sturm Graz as big as 13-1. I've had a look at this game, and it's a tricky one. Atalanta win to 0 could be considered here at -148. Big favourite Atalanta. A lot of people were talking about them as a Serie A title contender. They still might be, but they've gone off the boil a bit. This match probably comes at a good time for them, you would say.
Yeah, I think this is an opportunity, obviously, with a confidence booster. I think there's a fair amount of love that Atlanta are going to get the job done, and arguably to 0. So a win to 0, I think was a decent price earlier on. I wouldn't be really backing it at the price it is right now. And I think when you see a handicap like this, you've got to look at it, and I just wonder, is it worth taking? This is a no bet game for me. I'll be brutally honest with you. I don't know if you've got something that you really like, but if pushed, I'd probably go inside with the underdog here with a +2 start. I mean, they've got to lose by 3 goals or more for you to lose the bet. 2 more goals obviously would mean you get a push. But I just wonder if Sturm Graz can be competitive in this. I don't know. Have you got a stronger angle, a stronger take on it than me?
I've got a bet on the game. It's not a massive bet, but I think now the best bet for the game is, I do like Atalanta to win to 0. I've got to be honest, but I'm going to combine that with the Atalanta be leading at halftime. So halftime lead Atalanta and win to 0 overall +123. I think that's not too bad in terms of odds. I've watched a fair bit of Sturm Graz, and their general approach in the Champions League has been quite defensive. They nearly held Dortmund to a 0-0 draw. They went to Lille and kind of upset them a little bit. They are, they're not the highest scoring team. I've got a bit of a concern with them. They've not played a competitive game since the 12th of December, which was the match against Lille. Now, they've had 4 friendlies since then. This is a massive thing, by the way, not just tonight, tomorrow, and on Thursday. We've got teams in leagues who have long winter breaks, right? And they often have problems when they first come back in European matches in February. So this is even earlier. So these clubs have had to probably adapt their whole winter break to fit in friendlies to change things. There could be quite a bit of rust around. And so I'm a little bit concerned about Sturm Graz for that. I mean, they have played 4 friendlies, but does that really prepare you for a competitive game? I can tell you now.
It's not Champions League, mate, isn't it? It's tough, isn't it? Like, say you would try and blow the cobwebs away, but it's not quite as simple as that. So that would be the concern there, which always makes it hard to try and get a read on the game. And say you look at it over the course of the season so far, they've not lost by more than 2 goals, although they've lost 5 of their 6 Champions League games. They've not lost, not taken a pasting, have they? No, and you look at Atalanta, that they've had that fantastic result at Young Boys, but again, one other win outside of that, which covered their handicap tonight. So I find that one a tough one to call for, again, much of the reasons that you've talked about already. But if pushed, I'd side with it. Yeah, I interrupt you there. What have you got?
Well, that's the bet is for me here. Atalanta win at halftime and win to 0 overall full time +123. And I mean, I'd be surprised if they don't win the game. I think something like 2-0 is possibly on the cards. 1-0 maybe. They were held by Celtic 0-0, so that is a little bit of a concern. But it's just the 5th most wagered game on Bet Rivers in the Champions League. Nearly 10% of the whole handles on this game. No surprise that 95% of the money is on Atalanta, and 81% of the over-under ticket is on the over. You might expect a little bit more on the over actually there. So perhaps bettors are a little bit worried about, probably Sturm Graz not scoring. Sturm have lost their main striker to Monaco. BRF, Dan Robert, welcome in. Just looking, Giuseppe said its odds are too low for this game. I think it's a fairly tough one, but I think that's that.
Atalanta used to be that side, didn't it? They used to be that complete blind bet that you'd probably be happy to go over 3.5 goals. They were just manic, but it's not quite as it was, is it? Every now and again they'll come up with a ridiculous scoreline, like that Young Boys one, like the 6-1 win there, wasn't it? But you look at Sturm Graz, they have tried to keep it tight. So yeah, they lost their striker. That probably lends itself more to the fact that they're going to struggle to get on the score sheet. So we say it adds further weight to your win to 0. And yeah, possibly the fact that they will look to really keep it tight and just try and pick something on the break or from a set piece, which again would potentially look for a lower scoring game.
That last competitive match they did have against Lille, I watched that game. I was on Lille on the handicap. Lille raced into a 2-0 lead, and Sturm honestly looked awful. They were terrible, and they scored then with the last kick of the first half against the run at play, and it gave them something to fight for in the second half. They equalised, and eventually Lille won. But if that had been 2-0 half time, I think Lille would have put a big number on them. I think 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So they didn't really impress me too much. Lookman anytime score at plus 100 says no name boys. Ginepi is saying there might be a B team for Atalanta. Sure. As always, you've got to look at the lineups for these sort of things. We will know the lineups for that game before
very soon.
It's about half an hour. We probably get that, even less for the game. Okay, let's move on to a more spicier fixture, the early kickoff time. Monaco against Aston Villa. This is a really intriguing one. And a few people messaging me today, actually, and yesterday, saying they're wondering why Monaco are the favourites to win the game. I think a lot of people presume that Villa would be the outright favourite. They're plus 180, Monaco plus 148. Over 2.5 goals is minus 150 now. Both teams, Monaco, actually, not in great form, Jack, it must be said. 2 wins in 12 games in all competitions. Lack of clean sheets. Same with Villa. For me, this has got to be goals all the way. Over 2.75 is what I'm looking at here, Jack. Despite Villa having a few tight games in the Champions League, sometimes Emery can produce a more defensive tactic in a big match. How do you see him coming to Monaco? Is he going to be looking to be defensively rigid, or are we going to get a similar game to the Leipzig one? That was bonkers, wasn't it? 3-2 Villa.
It was.
Which sort of game, what type of game we're going to get, do you think?
Well, again, it depends on a lot. When we're talking about goals, and in this competition especially, that first goal is crucial, isn't it? The longer it goes on, then the teams involved, especially Villa, are in a fantastic position in the Champions League right now. And you look at it, they're 5th. So they're really holding the cards. But obviously, it's very, very tight. You look at there's AC Milan down in 12th on 12 points. Arsenal in 3rd on 13 points. So there's going to be, this week's going to be a hell of a lot of moving and shaking going on. This is definitely, I'd say, it's moving weekend in the Masters, isn't it? It's a nod to your jacket there, really, to be fair, the mustard one rather than the green one. But I think that this we could see a completely different dynamic here. But I feel that Monaco are in a little bit of trouble, aren't they? Towards the bottom there, there's some big names underneath them as well. I think they'll need to look to get 3 points in this one. They'll probably target this one despite Villa's position, I think they'll target this one as one that they've got to win. It's a home game after all. They're traditionally stronger at home as well. And Villa, we've seen that Leipzig performance was a little bit of a anomaly to what we have been seeing from them away from home. They have struggled away from home, especially in the league. So I agree with you. I think this one could open up nicely because I think it needs to for Monaco's sake, and therefore Villa have got the opportunity to look to pick them off on the counter. It'll be interesting to see again the lineups for this one as well. Obviously, John Duran has been sensational across the season so far, but a big money bid from West Ham apparently knocked back for him. Was it yesterday? And we're interested to see how he features, if he features in this one. But I like the same as you. I think this one's got the whiff of goals about it, especially if there's an early one. It could be absolute carnage.
Yeah, I'd actually tweeted at the weekend, but I think Unai Emery's got to be starting Watkins, and he's got to find a way to start both Duran and Watkins more, because both players need to be starting regularly, week in, week out. The bench isn't good enough. They're both top quality. But he doesn't seem to be able to do that with his system, does he? But, Duran, I think, he literally is hungry like the wolf, pun intended. But, let's see. I've got a feeling Duran will start this game, by the way. I don't know whether Watkins will, but I think Duran might be given the gig here. For me, it's over 2.75 goals at minus 120. The ladder might even come out for me here, Jack. Over 3.5 at plus 165. I just feel it's the sort of match that could go way over. It
could unravel. I think Dan's just mentioned there in the chat that Opta reckons 16 points is enough for top 8. So that means a win for Villa, and it's in essence job done for them, isn't it? So really interesting dynamics with how this is set up now. As you say, there's some huge clubs that are struggling to get in the top 24. You've also got the likes of Bayern outside of the top 8. Some surprise packages within that top 8. And it's all concertinaed very, very close up. So, going to be an interesting, say, couple of nights to really set the tone. Absolutely.
There's a prop bet that you like in this game, Jack. Fire away.
There is, yeah. And in kind of going alongside, obviously, we're going to have to wait on team news for this. But I'm hoping that Unai Emery sticks with what he's been doing over the last few games. And because my prop is centered around Yuri Tielemans, and that's to have over 1.5 shots. He's plus 155 for that. And the main reasoning behind that is, well, the goal he scored at the weekend. I don't think I've ever seen him score a goal like that. Older listeners might. I was going to liken it to an Andy Gray for Everton type of diving header. That's probably stretching it a little bit far for a lot of the people who are tuning in at the moment. But that's the first name that sprung to my mind. That diving header. He's not renowned for that, is he? He's certainly renowned for having a little pot shot from range. But to see him in open play from midfield breaking into the box really kind of set my my juices flowing, to be fair, in the props market, because what you're looking for is either a player playing out of position, i.e. a left back maybe playing on the left wing further forward, or you're looking for a slight change of dynamic and tactic. We saw it last night with Cucurella for Chelsea, who was playing as left back but effectively was much more advanced than that and central. So with this one, Tielemans had been playing as a more of a holding midfielder or a deep line midfielder. His last 4 games, he's seen him start as that kind of attacking midfielder, that number 10 kind of role. And it's resulted in him having these shots at goal. So he's had 2 or more shots at goal in 4 of his last 5 games across all competitions. He also had 2 shots in that last Champions League game you referred to against RB Leipzig. And he's also, which is very important when you're betting on this kind of market, been playing regularly 90 minutes. In other words, he's not been substituted. So we can now get the full bang for our buck on that one. He's played 90 in 11 of his last 16 appearances across all competitions. So for how it's set up, I'm hoping to say he's going to be in that more advanced midfield role. And then that looks a really lively price at plus 155. Those people thinking, oh, maybe I'll go for the shot on target. He's not been overly accurate with that. It's been quite sporadic as far as his actual shots on target are concerned, but you could play over 0.5. It's still plus money. For me, though, I like the fact, because he does like to bang from distance, I like the over 1.5 shots. They can go anywhere.
Yeah, there's someone, Jared, put on Tielemans anytime scorer plus 625. Lewis Jones mentioned Tielemans as well on yesterday's live show. And, I could see him again. How often do we see it? Goes back to bite the hand that once fed him. Players that go back to their old clubs. Yeah, it just seems to be the way it goes. A couple of comments about the cards in this game. Mesias, goalkeeping coach, and then Harry Doherty's lighting the card on Mings. Just mention is Slavko Vincic is the referee, quite a lenient referee. Just 1 red card given in his last 20 matches refereed in UEFA competitions. That was given to Estonia. I always remember this game. It was Poland 5, Estonia 1 in the qualifier. It was one of the most unlucky bets ever given out on this channel. It was poor Rory Barlow, who took Poland win to 0 and Estonia had 1 shot. They were down to 10 men for like the last 80 minutes. So unlucky. But this referee does have a history of being pretty lenient. So it doesn't mean he's not going to give cards out, though. So if you pick the right sort of player, then it may well be advantageous. Just looking back through the comments here, and Jake's on about the system there. The Watkins Duran doesn't work, and I get that. But I think it's a problem that 2 of the best players in the squad can't get on the field together very often, and eventually we know how it goes, Jack. One of them will move, and it's not going to be Ollie Watkins, is it? So Duran may well have to, for his own career's sake.
Yeah. Not when people are banging around £60 million for a, looking at a move there. And again, obviously, you say, in essence, being a super sub for much of the season, other than a Watkins injury or suspension, then it's lean game time for him at the moment. So great to have as a club to have a player like that on the bench, or you can rotate when you need to, but very hard to keep players like that happy. So you'd expect something to give at some point, probably in this window.
There is a match live in play right now. You can bet on Bet Rivers website or on the app. It's in the Europa League. Galatasaray against Dinamo Kiev. It's 2-1 to Galatasaray at the interval. A couple of comments saying there how poor Galatasaray must be to concede. The match goal line was 3.75, and in play now the goal line's 5.5, 5.25. So I've not been watching that game. I don't know if anyone's been watching it. Is it worth getting on
Kit
more
Kat
goals?
can't believe it.
Yeah, you can't believe the goal line is that high. And yet, this is Kit Kat Paul. Paul McCarthy has mentioned the cat beside me. He does make regular appearances. He's been all over me today, actually. He won't leave me alone. But
it's the jacket.
You've got to be careful, otherwise he's gonna get my mic and my camera. We need to get on some graphics because that is the third most wagered game of the day, by the way, on Bet Rivers. Liverpool Lille. Jack, Liverpool big favourites here, minus 400. Lille at 10-1, but I've got a good record against some of the big teams in Europe this season. I mean, do you give them any shot here at Anfield? Are Liverpool near enough already in the top 8? Could they take their eye off the ball a little bit here? Would minus 400 interest you?
No, I wouldn't. I think, as you rightly say, Liverpool have been so good this season. They're sitting top. They've got a 3-point advantage at the top as well, haven't they? So it's not, Dan's already mentioned it. They're as far as Opta are concerned, they're home and hose for the top 8. So this game is arguably more important for Lille. Let's say they sit in that. They sit on the bubble at the moment. They're sitting in 8th place, 13 points, joint tied with Arsenal, of course. But yeah, I think at the prices, you've got to think that Liverpool have been getting the job done generally, haven't they? But they're throwing in a few performances every now and again that just makes you question whether if someone just got that stroke of luck or was just able to find a moment of magic or just say keep the door shut at the back, then there's a chance of them stealing something. And I would certainly suggest that Lille have got the tools to cause problems going forward. You obviously know them a million times more than I do as far as Lille's performances and their capabilities are concerned. But they've obviously got goals in them, and it's a case whether they can catch Liverpool cold tonight. Again, Liverpool are now fighting on so many fronts, aren't they? They're going to have to start kind of doing a little bit of prioritising. So they're at home. They're always a massive threat. They're always going to be strong favourites. You can never kind of write them off as such, but so I wouldn't be backing them at that price. And if I'm looking at a handicap, I'd look to probably side with Lille, on that one. But yeah, I've got an eye on a prop which is Liverpool based, but not necessarily saying they're going to go on to get the win.
Lille are in the top 8. Let's not forget that they've done very, very well. I think a draw and a win would get them in will get them finishing the top 8. 16 points. I think you'll need a good goal difference to finish in the top 8 with 16 points myself. And at the minute, they don't really have that. So, they need something out of this game. I've got a lean of both teams score, yes, at minus 124, just a lean. For those who can access the card market, I think there's a couple of players that are very interesting here. Benjamin Andre for Lille, plus 195 to be carded. He's had 9 cards domestically this season and 2 in the Champions League. Alexis McAllister for Liverpool. He's a card machine at times. Yeah. Already been suspended in this competition for 3 yellows. Yeah. He's back now, plus 225. Darwin Núñez, plus 390. I mean, if he scored again when the shirt came off, would you be shocked? I wouldn't be. He's just not used to scoring often.
Nothing shocks me with Darwin Núñez, and he was lucky to stay on the pitch. After that, he was only on for 20 minutes.
I think he's really hyped up with a minute. It wouldn't surprise me if he got a start here. I think plus 390 on Darwin Núñez to be carded is a big one. The referee is Felix Voyer, German referee, loves a card, this guy. 5.32 career average for cards per game in the Champions League. He likes to dish them out. So for those who can access that market, there's some angles for you there. Another prop bet, which will be accessible pretty much to anyone, this one. Jack, it's regarding a Liverpool player. Which is the angle?
Yeah, I know you're all over the full card tonight, Steve. So I did try and look for some different angles. I know people like the prop, so I've kind of tried to find a couple that I do like. And this one does leap off the page to me. It's a guy called Mo Salah. I don't know if anyone's heard of him. A little known European, plays a Liverpool European team. But yeah, of course, Mo Salah to assist is the line I'm taking. It's plus 190. Now, when you look at this game, it's very interesting how the odds are split up. with Bet Rivers at the moment, you can see that he's minus 165 to score, and I say plus 190 to assist. No goal involvements his last 3 games across all competitions, which is unheard of, which we all know means one thing: he's due either a goal, an assist, or both at any moment now. And I think tonight seems like a decent opportunity for him. He won't want to let it slide too far. When you break down what he's done across the season so far, he obviously always makes the headlines with his goal scoring. It's absolutely phenomenal. But he's such a vital part of this Liverpool side in more than just his goals. You know, the amount of goals he does score from that kind of wide right position is phenomenal. But it's the assist that he brings to the table that I think does still fly under the radar. You look in the Premier League, 18 goals, 13 assists in 21 appearances. The Champions League, he scored 2 goals, but he's provided 4 assists. So, yeah, in 6 appearances. So, combine those together, 27 appearances across the 2 competitions, 20 goals, 17 assists. So it's fairly neck and neck, really, to be fair. And we're getting a huge edge as far as that he'll provide an assist tonight, as opposed to the fact that he'll get on the score sheet tonight. So for me, that's the route I'm taking. Plus 190 for an assist. As I said, he didn't have either at the weekend when Liverpool peppered Brentford, but he provided 7 passes that led to shots for Liverpool, which was the most across the Premier League over the weekend. So it shows that he's providing the chances, and of course, it's up to the guys in front to take them. But yeah, as you mentioned, Darwin Núñez could be on hand tonight, so that's a given, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a little bit of a concern for you there. With Darwin Núñez starting, maybe that he needs to convert that chance, but that's a big price. I mean, I think I said off air. I asked you what odds that was, and I thought it might be like plus 130. It's plus 190 for a Mo Salah assist. So I think you're getting a big price on there. There are some house specials just coming through to me now from the producer, Troy. And there is a house special for Liverpool and Barcelona both to win at plus 175. So if you like those 2 teams, then do get in that. Mo Salah or Robert Lewandowski each to score or record an assist at plus 130. That's another house special there. There's a couple more house specials involving other games, which I'll mention later on. Clebo, great to see you. And he's tailed my tip from the newsletter with AC Milan in the top 8. And I was just saying at the top of the show, Clever, I really love that one. I certainly fancy them to win against Girona. And I think the last game is Zagreb, someone like that. I mean, that'll be 18 points. 18 points is definitely getting you in to the top 8. According to Dan Roebuck, anyway, 16 might be enough with, Opta, not Dan, but I don't know what his computer said.
Same thing, really.
Yeah, he crunches the numbers really well. Dave Clark, Salah to score, Liverpool to win, and over 2.5 is his bet for the game. This is the 5th most wagered game of the day on Bet Rivers in the Champions League, that is. And you'll be unsurprised to hear 86% of the money is on Liverpool, 94% of the tickets. I mean, I kind of with you. If I had to take a handicap, I would go on the +2 for Lille. But there is a danger that Liverpool could blow them out of the water if they're really in the mood. That would be my concern. So handicaps and stuff wouldn't really be something I'm that bothered about in this game. But I do like the card angle, like I said there. Look for this referee to give quite a few cards out and target the individual players who always go in the book. And with Jack's prop bet there with Mo Salah. So that's the Liverpool game.
I think the problem for Liverpool... Sorry, mate. Yeah, I should say the problem for Liverpool going against Liverpool tonight is the fact they've got Ipswich at the weekend, and at home, which, without being disrespectful to my near neighbours, they're obviously it's going to be one of the easier games. It's not a real tough one that they're going to be facing, so they obviously won't take it lightly. But it's not as if they're going to look to really be saving and pulling players off for that. So there is a chance
next week they will be, won't they? PSV away,
that's right.
Probably win tonight. I mean, they'll be in the top 8. They're near enough in it anyway. Next week is when you've got to be looking out for Liverpool rotation, I think, rather than so much. You're right, Ipswich is probably about an easier game. They've got all sorts of problems, haven't they, defensively? The bad phase for the Tractor Boys, suddenly. You kind of fear for them.
Bear that in mind.
At the weekend. Big game in Lisbon today. at 3 p.m. Eastern here. Benfica against Barcelona. A lot of people in the chat saying they're liking Barcelona in this game. Plus 116 on the Spanish side here. But their form has been patchy for the last few weeks. It's been up and down. We know they've got goals in them. I'm going to say something here about the weather. There's a massive risk of thunderstorms here in Lisbon. I've got a few weather reports for some matches coming up, but this one here is interesting. We might get some heavy rain. Don't know how the pitch is going to affect things out. I actually, based on the weather there, and this can sometimes mean nothing, I think the over goal line is maybe a bit too high. Under 3.5 goals at minus 118. If we get bad conditions, if we get a pitch which is just starting to get a bit flooding, these technical players aren't going to enjoy that, Jack. But we don't know. We don't know exactly what rain might come when. It might stay dry. But a lot of people liking Barcelona here. Your thoughts on them? Everyone's seen a really exciting side this season, but defensively, can they always be trusted? Benfica did beat Atletico Madrid here 3-0. So there's form for them against Spanish sides. This could be an intriguing one.
Yeah, I think, again, Benfica at home is a tough test. And Barcelona are going there in a not very strong place at this moment in time, are they? So, again, it's a bit like what you mentioned a moment ago with Liverpool. On a going day, they can blow Lille away if it all clicks for Barcelona. If the storm clouds stay away and they have the opportunity to play there, then yeah, absolutely, they can go and put in a very big performance. Barcelona are a little bit of a side that I kind of seem to get on the wrong side of when I want to take them on. So again, I've gone down a prop angle on this one, but again, if you're looking at the actual result for this one, I'd be more inclined to side with Benfica than I would be with Barcelona.
Benfica going great guns domestically, but it's always quite hard. It's a bit similar to the Dutch league, I always say. Quite how seriously you can take the La Liga Portugal results is questionable. I think you've got to look at the big games a bit more. Both teams score no here is at plus 200, which would be a huge risk. But if the weather does come in dodgily, I think Benfica will play for a point here. By the way, I think they'll just try and they're in a little bit of no man's land. They're on I think 10 points on the board for them. They're pretty unlikely now to make the top 8. I mean, 1 point would pretty much get them into the playoff combined. I don't know what their sort of mentality is, but Barcelona on 15 points. They've obviously got one more game left after this one. I'd be careful here. I'd be careful in this game. If anyone looking to wager significantly, but you've got an angle on us on an interesting market here, on the fouls market, Jack, for those who can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're sharing the love around. There's so many markets on the Bet Rivers website. It's a nice opportunity from time to time to flag a few up. I'm with you as far as most of the leagues are concerned. Those ones outside of the top 5, I do just hone in on the competition that they're playing in, be it the Champions League, be it the Europa League. And the trouble is, you look at Benfica's home record in the Champions League this season. What do you make of it? As you said, they absolutely thumped Atletico Madrid 4-0, lost at home to Feyenoord, and then a 0-0 with Bologna. So it's very tricky to make a case there. I've gone with a foul market. It's Florentino Luis, I assume. It's over 1.5 fouls. It's plus money, plus 105. I think generally with Benfica, especially against this Barcelona side, the sort of side that want to go and be aggressive, they want to get stuck in, they're going to need to stop Barcelona and those key players dictating the game and playing around. He's in the middle of the park. He'll look to be a spoiler in there. And I say his record across the Champions League so far this season highlighted this bet to me. 2 or more fouls in 4 of his 5 Champions League fixtures. He's given away 2, 2, 3, 1, and 2. Didn't play in 1 fixture for Benfica. So, across those, he looks a real good option, especially when you're against, as you said, a technical side like Barcelona, who are going to have plenty of the ball. He's going to have a lot of work to be doing in the middle of the park. So, for that reason, this looks like the perfect opportunity to get on board with him on something that he's done consistently in this competition.
Yeah, potentially a couple of sliding challenges on a greasy surface, maybe if we
Sorry,
get
ref.
the.
I got there as soon as I could. Yeah, I've been there before.
Well, luckily for him, Danny Makulele is the referee. Dutch referee's in charge here. Quite lenient generally in terms of cards. I think he will let quite a few cards go here. He won't want to be racking up silly cards. So, but that's good for the players. They might think they can get away with quite a few things. Just looking through.
If you're in the fouls market, you've hit a great point there, and I did notice it was Makaleli who was the referee for this one. Not one that you really want when you're looking for a feisty game and you're looking for cards to come out. Not one that you really want to be given the game in question. But when you're looking for fouls, as I said, you let one go, it gives him the opportunity to rack up another one. So you don't want to be the player being on a yellow card after his first foul because he's going to be a little bit more cautious then. So, as I say, we think we might be getting a bit more leniency here, and he can rack up 2 or more as he's done quite consistently so far.
Owen Johnson, what do we think for correct score between Liverpool and Lille? I'm going to say 3-1. What are you going to say?
Oh, interesting. I was going to go 3-2 to Liverpool.
3-2 to Liverpool there. Stephen Cook, you're absolutely right, Stephen, about the weather is going to be potentially a factor in quite a few games today. Mike Oxmill says he was looking at betting Barca, but I don't think it's worth the risk. If they can lose almost any game in the Liga, they can lose or draw here as well. Someone made a very good point about the final game. Peter Charlton's good to see you on the show. Final did indeed come to Benfica, and I was surprised that they did. And that's the thing. Benfica, PSV sort of sides, domestically, they're not tested very often. So sometimes when they play Champions League matches, they're just well below par and not ready. But other times they can rock up and really surprise some of the big teams. So, yeah, Benny, good to see you as well. And Gavin, the jacket, well, it's the Champions League jacket. Always bring it out for the Champions League shows. You know, this is the big one for me. So Stephen likes Stuttgart, both teams scoring over 2.5 today. There is a snow risk there. We'll come to that match in a minute. One more game on this particular graphic to talk about. It is Club Brugge against Juventus, and 10 points here against 11 points in the table. I mean, both sides might be struggling to get into the top 8, so I'm not sure what sort of mentality here we might see. Club Brugge are unbeaten in 18 consecutive games in all competitions. 15 of those are wins, and we know Juventus are unbeaten in Serie A, 15 draws across the board in all comp this season. I saw someone post up earlier that they liked the tie here at plus 220 is the tie now for this match. And who could argue against that with the way that Juventus have been going? But I tell you what, actually, it's plus 215 now, the tie. People are betting on the tie. Money for the tie. How often do we say that? Not too often. I like Club Brugge plus a quarter of a goal, plus 0.25 on the Asian handicap, minus 114. If we think it's going to be a draw, and I actually think it will be a draw as well, let's make a little bit of profit from it. Plus a quarter of a goal. I'll take half a winner from that, Jack. I don't mind a draw here. And I think if anyone's going to win the game, it might be Club Brugge. They are an underrated side. Obviously not used to losing very often. Juventus just don't have that winning instinct enough for me. And it's going to be a cold night in Bruges. And I think it could be a low-scoring game. Under 2.5 could be in play here. It's the shortest price for under 2.5 on the night. Yeah, I plus a quarter of a goal, Club Brugge for me, or Brugge, however you do your pronunciations in Belgium. Is this going to be a tie, do you think?
We'll wait for Dan to come in and make sure we've got that pronunciation correct. But yeah, you've said everything that I was going to say, and the comments have echoed that as well. I fancied a tie in this one, so therefore any variant of that, you right there? You look like you're riding one home.
Just looking at the comments. The comments always make me laugh on these shows. Some lovely stuff comes through. Keep going.
Yeah, no, I'll try. Yeah, look, I say I'm fancying the tie. So anything that is a variant of that, then we've got to support. As you say, I think someone put in their first half draw, first half tie. Then yeah, that one looks like a decent one. And as we said, you've getting a plus handicap. Then you've got another edge to your sword there. If Brugge can go and get the win, then happy days. But yeah, a tie is good enough on the plus handicap. So yeah, I like those angles of attack.
I always say Bruges. I think Bruges sounds better than Brugge. But if it is Brugge, then fair enough. You know, you've got to go with what the locals say, what the natives say. Just looking now at some.
Do you want some team news, Steve?
Oh, have we got some? Go on, fire away.
Yeah, for Villa, it's been mentioned. Watkins leads the line. Buendia in behind him. Rodgers and Bailey out wide. Camara and Tielemans in the middle. Back four of Cash, Konza, Mings, Dina, and obviously Martinez in goal. Your man Embolo up top for Monaco. Minamino as well, just behind him as well. So that could be an interesting one. Did you pick? Kira is one that I looked at for fouls and a card as well, the centre back. So he starts as well. So that could be an interesting one. But that's the team news there. And Atlanta, someone mentioned Lookman, and Lookman doesn't start. So avoid that bet.
Yeah, the Atalanta lineup is in now. And, there's often quite a bit of rotation around. Charles de Ketelara and Retegui are starting up front for them. 3-4-1-2 system as normal. Darun in midfield with Pesalic. Lookman, as you said, is on the bench for this.
There's a player I like here for shots normally, and I don't even know what his price is. I'm going to try and find it. And there he is. Yeah, David Zappacosta likes to have a shot. He's plus 112 for over 1.5. So again, without going too much into detail, that's someone I tend to look at. He's very advanced down that left-hand side.
91% of the money and 91% of the tickets are on Juventus in this game. That actually surprises me. I thought Club Brugge would attract a bit more. I think they're underrated here. I do, Club Brugge. I think people look just at the name here and think Juventus will come here and easily win. I don't think they'll go down without a fight, Club Brugge. For me, they're the best team in Belgium now. I think it's been debatable the last few years who is the best team in that country, but for me, they are. There has been a goal in the Galatasaray game. Victor Osimhen from the penalty spot.
Shock!
Down to 10 men, but. I mean, unless he scored and took his shirt off or something, I don't know. But I'd be surprised if he did that off a penalty. But stranger things have happened in soccer. It is 3-1 to Galatasaray. I know a lot of people are on the handicap on Galatasaray in that game. They were putting in chat. We've got 4 more fixtures to talk about here. I'm going to lead with this one. Red Star Belgrade against PSV Eindhoven, otherwise known as Krvena Zvezda. Tough mouthful here. There is a snow warning in Belgrade this evening. So be very careful betting on this game, because initially I was thinking over 2.5 goals. Both teams score, yes. Both teams need the win. I was thinking wide open game. And then I looked at that forecast and I'm like, no, I don't fancy that. So suddenly, if I had an angle on the game, it would actually be on the handicap for Red Star plus 0.75 on the Asian handicap at minus 113. But another concern with them, just like with Sturm Graz, and we've got the same with Slovan Bratislava soon, the last competitive game for Red Star, I think was the 22nd of December. They've had 4 friendlies since. Again, the Serbian League doesn't resume till the 1st of February. How sharp will they be? Not sure. PSV, I struggle. Suddenly they're in a battle domestically. It looked like we're going to run away with the league, but they lost away at the weekend to Zwolle 3-1. Zwolle were a 12-1 shot in that game. Were PSV looking ahead? Because PSV's last game is a really big one against PSG, which is not actually that easy. Sorry, not PSG. It's I need to look that up, but it's not the easiest last game, I don't believe. So I think plus 3/4 of a goal might be worth looking at. Liverpool. Now, we don't know how seriously Liverpool are going to take that game. It's one of those ums and ahs, isn't it? But, I don't really trust Peter Bosz as a manager. I know a lot of people don't rate him tactically. They think he's all over the place. Does the job domestically, scores a lot of goals. Sometimes in these, I thought they were poor against Brest. I expected them to go to Brest and show why they're the champions of the Netherlands. They didn't. So this is not an easy place to go. Everyone knows about the stadium, the atmosphere. It's going to be a cold night as well. The referee in charge, one of your favourite referees, Jack, Ivan Kovacs, the Romanian referee. I honestly think, now, I'm not saying he's a bad referee, but I think he loses control of games. This is a bloke who gave 17 cards in the Turkey match against Czech Republic in the European Championships.
Yeah.
he could lose control. So for those who can access the card market, maybe you could get involved with Kovacs, because he has a mega history of, just to say, losing the plot.
You know me too well, Steve. My eyes were immediately drawn to the game in question, just because the referee being there. So absolutely, yeah, we'll be all over cards in that one. And I'm with you as well. I always find you've got these locations, I think sometimes where the weather plays a part, where either it's absolutely freezing cold, especially when you can get, say, a plus handicap. And you can kind of say a tie is good enough for you to cash at least part of the bet, then absolutely happy with that. So yeah, I'm with you again on that one. I think cards looks a good angle again, especially if the conditions aren't great. He's not one that is likely to be so lenient, and so I'd like to side with the home team when you've got those conditions in there that kind of favour all ones that they're used to playing in.
Just looking now here. Felix likes PSV, win to 0 or minus 3/4 of a goal. Meslier's goalkeeping coach, confident in get a few here. Jan Phillips says 1x though. Player cam, PSV struggling for form. I sense a split here of opinion. One of those games where everyone's sort of different views in terms of the money for this game. Just 60% of the money is on PSV. So this is split even with the actual Bet Rivers turnover so far on the game, where the handle is. I'll be careful here with PSV. On no way on earth, this is just not appealing. I mean, the thought of this for me, just going out there in the cold and Red Star away, making me shiver anyway. So they've got to be up for the fight here. If they're not up for the fight, then Red Star could absolutely really give them a surprise. I wouldn't be betting on PSV at these short odds. Just a bit of a shame from Red Star's perspective that they haven't played a competitive game for nearly a month. So there is that question mark. Dan Roebuck, bet of the night. Bologna, Tino bet plus 133. He is liking Bologna. We're going to be talking about that match very, very soon. In fact, let's crack on with it now. Actually, no, not quite yet. It is the last game on the card. Slovan Bratislava against Stuttgart. There was a few comments in chat about Stuttgart earlier. Slovan, I mean, there's a case for them being the worst side in the competition, to be honest with you. Nearly, they're plus 1050 now. There's been a little bit of a nibble on them since this graphic was produced. Stuttgart minus 455, slight drift. Another weather warning for snow, potentially here in Bratislava. We don't know yet. It's going to be a cold evening, but I'm not sure it's going to matter, because I do believe I think there's potentially night and day between the two sides. Stuttgart have looked very good to start off the Bundesliga since the winter break. I know you do keep an eye on that league sometimes, Jack. So I'm sure Stuttgart have been catching your eye here. But -2 on the Asian handicap. I mean, minus 455 on the money line. They win the game, don't they? It's just by how many?
Yeah, and again, I think you've got to say, we've talked about it a few times tonight, but the weather, although it sounds a little bit trivial when you talk about it, we're talking about severe, freezing cold weather, snow, completely different conditions to what these players are used to playing. They generally will be used to a slick surface, plenty of grass, obviously, and now they're going somewhere where, the gloves will be on. It'll be a completely different scenario to what they're used to playing. Again, as much I agree with you, I think Stuttgart win it. Do they need to win it by 3 goals? As I say, I think it might be one of those ones where they get the job done and they get back on the flight home and, consider it job done. Thanks very much. And that's what drew me on this one. I went towards the under goals line here. I think under 3.5 is the line for me at minus 117. We've talked about it in a couple of other games. There is the possibility that it just does unravel for Slovan Bratislava, but I just feel that tonight, with everything considered, we might well be able to get on the side of a fewer goals here. Stuttgart get the job done, and as they disappear back to Germany.
I tried desperately hard to get a bet for this game. I probably spent more time researching this game than any other. I couldn't find one. I looked at the halftime -1 Asian line on Stuttgart, but they haven't been winning at halftime yet in the Champions League this season, and only been winning at halftime. I think it's 4 times in the Bundesliga. Now, that is really strange to me. I don't know if we've got any Stuttgart fans in the chat, but clearly they're not a very good first half team on results, are they? So that put me off there a bit. Slovan, by the way, have been losing at halftime in all of the Champions League matches this season, bar one. So I was looking at that. In the end, I just can't get involved in the game. But again, another team, Slovan, haven't played a competitive match since the 14th of December. They've played 2 friendlies since. So not many compared to the other teams that have been having 4 or 5 friendlies. The 2 friendlies are in the Middle East. So fantastic warm weather preparation for this cold night in Bratislava. But the home team might not even have an advantage. With
Do you know what? I was reading that. I was reading that earlier today, and obviously they go and do warm weather training, so they can train, so that it's not like indoors or the fact that they're outside with like ice and snow on the ground. They do go so they can get a full proper training session in, but it's irrelevant really to them what they're going to be doing when they go back. And as you say, we talked about home advantages for sides that are used to playing in the snow, used to having ice on the surface, these like minus temperatures that they're going to be playing in. But they come back from the likes of Turkey, and they come back from the Middle East where they've been sunning themselves. So as you say, does that then kind of counteract the fact that they've got that little bit of home advantage, knowing the course and distance? But we'll see. Interesting point by Dan there. We've talked about with the ties, and I'll leave you to read the stat out. But it's pretty an interesting one. He makes a good point. Regression possibly soon.
Well, Juventus can probably add to that this evening, can't they? But before we move on, we've got to talk about a Stuttgart striker, especially as Dan's in the chat, Nick Woltemade, who, now this guy is one to watch. We've mentioned him a few times, plus 130 any time here, which that could be a big price. This guy's on form. He's a big target man, physical player. I don't think the Cole's going to bother him here too much. He's going to be up for the fight. He could well get on the score sheet for Stuttgart. I'm going to say 2-0. 2-0 away win. You like the under 3.5, don't you?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. Most of the money is with Stuttgart, 96% of the tickets and 91% of the money. That is no surprise. Okay. Atletico Madrid against Bayer Leverkusen. Another place today where the weather's not very good. It's going to be raining in Madrid. Not great in Europe, is it today? Anywhere, really.
It's in Leeds.
Yeah, dry. At least. But Atletico Madrid are the favourites here. Plus 138 now. Leverkusen plus 215. Both teams have been in pretty good form, it must be said. Leverkusen are now on a run of 12 games in a row that they've won. Atletico Madrid had 15 straight wins before they shockingly lost to Leganes at the weekend, 1-0.
Yeah.
I really have struggled. A tough game I've got written down here. I was really finding this one hard, actually, Jack. I think what I will say is I think the win is worth its weight in gold for either team. I'm not sure a point will do more for Leverkusen than it will Atletico Madrid. But I think Atletico Madrid, if they want to get in the top 8, at the minute they're on 12 points, I think they've got to win both games. So, the incentive is there for them to win. Can they get the job done?
I'm with you, mate. This is a very, very hard one to call because I could make strong cases for both these sides. And I think that defeat at the weekend, I was like, wow, where's that come from? They've been so dominant over the most recent fixtures. And, Leganes had been pretty poor coming back from the winter break. So it's like, I couldn't see it. Leganes have been awful against, the top half sides. And then they go and pull out a clean sheet win against Atletico Madrid. So I just feel that it's at this moment in time. At this moment in time, over the last 18 months, it's been virtually impossible for me to take Leverkusen on. And I think the same applies tonight. Obviously, they did suffer that big defeat against Liverpool. Liverpool were probably at the absolute peak as they've been playing this season for that one. And both sides generally have been in hard to beat and been on great winning runs. So does that suggest they're going to cancel each other out here? And a tie, as you rightly say, for Leverkusen, it's not a bad result. They're one of the clubs on 13 points. Atletico Madrid outside the top 8 at the moment. And you're right to say that they probably need to win this one to give themselves a good chance of that top 8 finish. So, really awkward for me to call as well. So in that case, I would normally sit on the fence. And someone's just mentioned the man himself, Sheik, who's been in sensational goal-scoring form.
Plus 265 to score at any time. That was written on my list as well. But then I thought, do I really fancy goals here? I'm not sure I do. So, but that is, if you're riding a hot hand, if you got a player that you keep backing and he delivers, then shit, that is a massive price, plus 265. No result would surprise me here. If it ended 3-0 to anyone, I wouldn't be shocked. If it ended a 3-3 draw or a 0-0 draw, I wouldn't be shocked. So, in which case, I'm going to stay away. There's rain forecast, like I said. The pitch is going to play. Massa's referee in this game, the Italian referee, so he could be quite random as well. Stay away. Stay away job.
Yeah.
Overall.
Sometimes no bet is the best bet, and I think that game really stands out as one you'd go, oh, that's a big game tonight, but probably one that you don't want to be putting too much money on. Watch it, enjoy it, and cash some tickets elsewhere.
You say that, but interestingly, this is the most wagered game on the Bet Rivers handle for the Champions League today. The 27% of all the money is on this game. So, I would say where the money is actually. We've got 80% of the money on the money line. 80% of the money is on Atletico Madrid, but only 55% of a ticket. So it's pretty split. And the same with the over and under. 55% of the money is on the under. So this is a proper seesaw game. We've got money on one side, money on the other, going to do battle with each other. What do we get? We get this outcome we don't know about. So good luck, whatever you are taking in this particular game, guys, because I know it's obviously quite a bit of significant money is on there. There is some house specials as well to mention. Just going back to Juventus and Barcelona, each to score 1 goal or more in the first half at plus 240, if you like that. And then there's another house special here, under 2.5 goals in Atletico Madrid Leverkusen, combined with, and I'm not sure about the next one, Dortmund Bologna at plus 270, because Dortmund Bologna is the last match we're going to talk about. And Bologna are the dog here. We've seen Dan Roebuck in chat said he really likes some tie no bet here at plus 133. But Bologna plus 230 now. Borussia Dortmund at plus 120. Over 2.5 goals is at minus 122. Now, for me, that just looks very generous. I don't know why this goal line isn't at an Asian line of 3 even, because anyone that's seen Borussia Dortmund play since the winter break cannot possibly make a case for them keeping it tight defensively, can they? And Bologna, to be fair, they seem to have morphed into this over team randomly in the last few weeks. So I can't look beyond the goals in this game, Jack. I really am struggling to see why we can get such generous odds, and it would be one of my better bets of the day, over 2.5 goals Bologna Dortmund.
We're on the same page, Steve. It's my bet of the day as well. Over 2.5 goals. I think it's really been set up because of the lack of goals in Bologna Champions League games so far. They have been pretty dour, but as you rightly say, over the last couple of weeks since this year, since the last day of the December, really, there've been goals galore in their games, haven't there? So they had 3-2, 2-2, 2-2, 3-1. So loads of goals there across them. And as you say, Borussia Dortmund at the moment are a shambles.
It's horrific, isn't it?
Yeah, really, really bad. Really, really bad. So, I just feel that, for Dortmund to go and win this game, they're probably going to go and need to score at least twice, and probably more. And so I think, obviously, they've always got a threat. They've always got goals in them. Can Bologna keep them out? I don't know. So they defensively have been pretty sound in the Champions League, but it seems to have completely turned around and changed in recent games. So I'm going with the trend that's where Bologna are at the moment. Dan's mentioned a couple of players that are back. Lewis Ferguson, I know he likes to mention him. I've just quickly checked to see what his prices were for say shots on target, and it's just led to the fact that there've been plenty of goals at both ends in their games. And when you're on goals, you want goals to be happening and both teams to come to the party, both in conceding them and scoring them. And I think these two sides at this moment in time currently offer both those things. So I was very surprised about that price whenever Dortmund are playing.
Yeah, and I read an interview that the Bologna manager, Vincenzo Italiano, gave before the game. And for those who look at the table, might actually question the motivation of Bologna. They're not going to be qualifying now. They've only got, 2 points on the board, I think. So that even with 2 wins, it's not going to be enough. But he said, we're desperate to get this first Champions League win. It's the last home match they've got. And he said, he basically said, we're going to be fired up and we're going to go for it. So he's not playing for a draw here. And, Dortmund at this point in time, I know Sahin. I think he's well liked by the fans. I think he's got a really good emotional connection with the club. He's passionate, but tactically, we said it all year, I think he's very questionable, even when the team are at full strength. And by the way, Dortmund have had a big virus going around the camp in the last week or two. Now, players are back, but you know what it's like after you recover from something like that. You might not be feeling 100%. I think over 2.5 goals here. I don't know who's going to win the game. It wouldn't actually surprise me if Dortmund did win, because it means more to them ultimately. And if they do fire, they've got weapons. They've got a lot of weapons, Borussia Dortmund, in the final third of the field. I can tell you now with the splits here, just 61% of the money's on the over, though. And I think the only reason for that is people are looking back at the Bologna Champions League results and they're thinking under. And I get that, but they've changed. Like, I think what's happened with Bologna is they've realised it's quite hard to play that type of football all season. Nigel made this point about someone on the Premier League show recently. I think, was it Everton? He maybe made that point about, and it's very hard just to play defensive week in, week out. I don't see why I can certainly see, why they would kind of morph a little bit here.
And there's nothing to gain from that tonight, as you rightly say, Steve. You want to go out with something for your fans to celebrate and to cheer. You kind of a bit of a last hurrah as such. They're going to gain nothing from a 0-0 draw or keeping it tight or a narrow 1-0 defeat or something like that. So I think they will go for it. And they will know, again, that Dortmund side are a side that have got a soft underbelly and they can be got at and they can score goals against them. And as I say, Bologna have shown they've got the ability to go and score goals, especially in recent weeks. So I think this is one where you look at it and you go, well, look, there's nothing in it for Bologna anymore. We'll take those early season stats out of it, look a little bit more what they've been doing more recently, and also take into account your opponent.
Just looking back now, Harry Doty says Tielemans and Kehrer 20-1 to be carded in a parlay there. Rita's never heard of the Dortmund coach, but they could have got. I do agree. I mean, he's a former player of the club, a bit of a club legend, and like I say, he's got a really good connection with the fans. But Terzic as well was a Dortmund fan, of course. But I tell you now, and I think it ends. He's going to get sacked at some point this season. Yeah. It's going to come to a head at some point. They'll get embarrassed, probably by a big team somewhere, and get beaten big. That's the problem. How's the weather in Bologna? Really boring. 6 or 7 degrees, clear night. Nothing to shout about there at all. Maybe a little bit nippy for Italy. Don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. But there we go. We've done all the games, Jack. An hour's content. Absolute pleasure. Plenty of bets there across the card. I mean, my best bet of the night, I think it is that Monaco over, really. Coming up very, very soon. I like the over 2.75, followed by the over 2.5 in Bologna Dortmund. But I've given quite a few angles throughout the whole show. If you had to have a best bet, what would it be?
As I said, for me, it's got to be Bologna Dortmund over 2.5 goals, minus 118.
Yeah, I think that's a really good bet. I really do like that. Tribe has said Aston Villa have been better defensively since Mings has come back. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, actually. I've not watched all their games, so I'm not sure how true that is. But they do have, I mean, was it 2 clean sheets in 12 games, I think, for Aston Villa? And one of those was against Southampton, so it doesn't really count, does it? That version of Southampton was pathetic. It's a different one now. That will do. I've got to remind everyone that next week on Wednesday, it's the final round of the Champions League. We're doing a live show. It's going to be later than normal. It's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and you will only be able to access this show. It will be given to subscribers of the newsletter. You'll be given a link and you can watch it. It's a special one. We want to reward our loyal followers of the newsletter. So if you've not signed that up already, do that. You'll get the link and you'll be able to watch us live. It'll be me and Nigel at the minute. Not sure if anyone else is going to be joining us. Maybe you might get the call again after this brilliant appearance today on Betting Weekly Live, Jack. But
I always keep myself match fit just in case of a late call up, Steve. You know that.
So that's going to be a live show. 16 games all at once. Nigel's going to be watching half of them. We're going to he's going to be keeping his eye on Sparta Prague or Red Star Belgrade, no doubt about that. But yeah,
can't wait.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And then tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live, he's back. He's back. He's Will White, professional gambler. Will White is going to be joining me on the show as always for a breakdown of Champions League. So yeah, that's lots to look forward to on Betting Weekly Live. Me and James Eastham on Thursday as well. Europa League returns. For those who have signed up to the newsletter and haven't been getting it, I keep saying it. Do check all your inboxes. There's loads of different folders now, isn't there? And if you're really not getting it, then DM one of the team. I'm sure we can get you that newsletter somewhere along the line then, Nish. But yeah, take care, everyone. Remember to gamble responsibly. I'll see you tomorrow on Betting Weekly Live. Jack, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Pleasure for me too. See you all later. Have a good one.
See you all.